Welcome to the Alcohol Addiction Podcast. My name is Lee Davey. I'm not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who doesn't drink alcohol, and I help other people do the same every waking moment of the day. Today, we're going to talk about status. It's episode 136, continuing on the same theme of resistance that I've been talking about over the last week. I hope it's been really, really useful for you. It might be a bit repetitive, right? Oh, Lee just keeps banging on about resistance all the time. Well, we need to be repetitive in order to rewire these neurological connections that we have that tells us that drinking a powerful poison that kills 3.3 million people a year is a good idea. So if you don't like repetition, then keep drinking or go find somebody else, because I am someone who repeats myself a lot. Okay, what am I going to talk about first? Well, I have now been in the UK for 6 months. In July, my current tenancy agreement here in this flat that I hate is going to end, and I'm going to go traveling in Asia. Okay, but before I came to the UK 6 months ago, I actually spent 6 months living in America, in Los Angeles. It was the longest time I'd ever spent living in another country. I was really super proud of myself. I kind of enjoyed it out there. I missed my boy, but I liked it out there. It's a good thing for the soul to open the window every morning and to see the sun out there, right? So we're living in LA, and we're actually living with Liza's parents and Liza's sister-in-law. And I think we stayed with her sister, Liza's sister, not sister-in-law. I think we stayed with Liza's sister for about 4 months, maybe 2 months with her mum. While we were there at her sister's house, they have 3 dogs. A little white yappy thing that just fucking doesn't stop barking. And then she has 2 other dogs. One is a Weimaraner, I believe, and the other one is some kind of mixed boxer stroke tiger lion fucking thing. I don't know. And they would run around the house, and anytime I got near these dogs, they would back away from me. They'd be like, fucking hell, here comes Lee. I'm going to back away from Lee. And I think that's because I give off the vibe that, dogs to me, they're just a pain in the ass, especially these 3. All they did was bark all the time. They shit everywhere. They piss everywhere. And to me, they don't bring much value into the household. That's just me personally, right? So I kind of given off this vibe, get away from me kind of dogs, right? So they kind of look at me, and you could tell they're a little bit frightened of me, and they don't want to fuck with me, and they just stay out of my way, right? But it's very, very, and it's the same. It's the same with other adults that they don't know, right? They're very wary of them. But when the family come home, the older children who are in their teenage years or older, and the parents, the dogs are all over them like a rash. But then put my 20-month-old daughter into the equation, who was, she's like a year old back then. And she loves these dogs, right? She wants to go touch them and all this kind of stuff. But all the dogs want to do is eat her, right? Every time my daughter goes anywhere near these dogs, they're trying to bite her, right? It was a really, really difficult and scary time. And then when we moved in with Liza's parents, her brother was living there with his dog. Guess what? His dog was the same. He stayed out of my way. He loved every other adult, but he wanted to bite Zia all the time. Why? Status, okay? The dog knows, all right? The dog knows the hierarchy here. The dog knows that in the world of status, the adults are the people in charge, and the dog is right down there below that. But below the dog, in the dog's eyes, is the child, right? And the child is a threat to the dog because the child can get the dog's love, care, and attention of the adults, right? So the dog wants to eat Zia, and it's purely down to status. Now, when I was younger, I went into the school production of Oliver Twist and played the Artful Dodger. And I was about, how old was I then? Maybe 12, 13 at the time, something like 12, 13, 14. And that was a real leap in status for me, because until then I was this Chinese English boy trying to kind of make friends in this very xenophobic, racist country called Wales, right? And I'm trying my best in there and getting beaten up all the time, not fitting in. And then I became the Artful Dodger, and all of a sudden I had status. And the girls were like, oh, isn't he cute? And all this kind of thing, right? Artful Dodger, status. I was the captain of the football team. Every football team I ever played in, when I moved to Wales, I was the captain of it. Status. I had a Bang & Olufsen stereo that cost me more money than a car on the wall in my house. Status. That house was one of the biggest houses in Ogmore Vale. Status. I had a mini convertible. I know some of you might laugh that it was a mini, but it was a convertible and it looked cool. Status, okay? And every day that I went to work, I wore a suit and everybody else didn't. I sat behind a table made of oak or mahogany or whatever it was in this big, huge leather chair, and somebody what didn't have a suit sat at the other side of the table. Status, okay? We used to date, all the guys used to date the best looking women, okay, without even giving a shit about their personality, and that is status, okay? And even yesterday, I go to, and I get locked out of the house. We end up going to an Italian restaurant called, I can't remember what it was called. And we go to this Italian restaurant. We've never been in there before. I sit down, I order my food, all right? And then about 15 minutes after we order our food, an Italian couple comes in, sits down next to us, starts talking to my daughter and playing with her and stuff. And lo and behold, they get their food before we do. But they've arrived 15 minutes later. Not only do they get their food before we do, okay, they got free olives because I could tell that he was giving them to them for free. I paid for mine, and they had bread with balsamic and olive oil. We just had bread. That is status. They obviously know the people who run the restaurant, and because they know these people who run the restaurant, they have this status level above mine. And it's really important that we understand that we are repeatedly looking at other people, seeing where we exist within these status roles, all right? Now, I always remember Tony Robbins, kind of like a really kind of pivotal moment in my growth, saying that we always do things to either avoid pain or to produce pleasure, right? And that was something that I've used a lot when I'm thinking about why we drink alcohol or not, okay? But I also like to think that the other reason we take action alongside the pain pleasure principle is to either increase our status or to decrease our status, right? So we're often thinking of kind of status from an external perspective, right? So we're thinking, how do people perceive us, all right? What does my neighbor think of me? What does my mother think of me? What does my husband think of me? And these answers, or these answers that we create internally in our own mind, which we kind of make up, they can be damaging or they can be quite liberating, right? Okay. But what is even more damaging is this internal perspective that we create about how we perceive ourselves. You know, do I love myself or do I hate myself? Do I think I'm ugly? Do I think that you know, my appearance doesn't matter? Do I think I'm intelligent? Do I think I'm stupid? Do I think that I'm capable of giving up drinking alcohol or not, you know? And all these kind of questions like, what school will I go to? What football team will I join? Who will I marry? What house will I buy? Where I live? What career should I choose? And should I drink alcohol or not, right? All these questions are revolved around status. And of course, the final question of should I drink alcohol or not, okay, only comes up once we've been addicted to alcohol. Let me say that again. The question, should I drink alcohol or not, only comes up after you've become addicted to alcohol. Okay, the first time you drink alcohol, likely in your teenage years in any kind of consistent way, you, ladies and gentlemen, did not sit down, get out a cost-benefit analysis and say to yourself, right, what are all the pros and cons of drinking alcohol before I say yes to Jonathan's offer of going out Saturday night and getting fucked off my tits, drinking 10 pints of Strongbow with my fake dodgy identity, right? No, we don't do that, do we? We drink alcohol when we're teenagers because people like us do things like this, as Seth Godin always says. People like us drink alcohol. That's what we do. It is normal and it is fucking pleasurable. We love it. That's why we drink it, okay? So the only time you ever say to yourself, should I drink alcohol or not, becomes when you are addicted. And of course, by this time, your status within your community is already kind of solid, right? It's already pretty tight, okay? So you've got to say to yourself, like, and this is a really important question, okay? When it comes to being someone who doesn't drink alcohol, you start to ask this question, obviously because something's gone wrong in your life. The question you need to ask is, will my decision to become someone who doesn't drink alcohol increase or decrease my status, okay? Now, a lot of you will think, well, it will increase my status, right? Because I'm going to have more money, I'm going to look healthier, I'm going to make sound decisions. I'm going to be present for my children. I'm going to be present for my husband or my wife. I'm going to be a rock star in the sack. I'm going to be a much better employee. I'm going to be 70% smarter, more intelligent because I've been running on 30% capability, right? So I can see a lot of people could look at this and think, this is fucking brilliant. If I become someone who doesn't drink alcohol, then life is going to be amazing. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to increase my status, okay? Wrong. It will not increase your status. Let's get this right straight off the bat. If you make a decision right now to become someone who doesn't drink alcohol, if you join the Strive Community Forum right now and start sharing, being vulnerable and helping other people, if you decide to take the life-changing experience and become one of the 41% of people who are still not drinking after 9 months, if you do all of that, you will decrease your status. You will decrease it, okay? Nobody will want to be with you. Nobody will like you. Everybody will be afraid of you. It will be like you're holding up a mirror, okay? Look, here's the thing, okay? Why do we drink alcohol? Why do people like us do things like this, all right? Look around you. The reason that we drink alcohol is we've been programmed to drink alcohol from birth, okay? The only way this system works, and when I say system, I mean the system called alcoholism. And this system called alcoholism, okay, is not the byproduct of somebody who drinks too much alcohol. The system called alcoholism is an invisible, violent, and dominant belief system, okay? It's violent because it kills 3.3 million people a year. It's dominant because everyone around you fucking drinks it. And it's invisible because despite 3.3 million people dying, everybody fucking drinks it, which means that the belief system is obviously invisible. How does it remain invisible? Cognitive dissonance. We know as human beings, Mother Nature has programmed us that if we sniff vodka, for example, we will repel against it. We will recoil against it. It will smell disgusting. If we try to drink it, our body will try to vomit it out straight away because it knows it's a poison. So everything about our physicality, our Mother Nature part of us, right, our biology says we should not be drinking alcohol. So how do we counter that? Well, the ingenious way that alcohol uses in order for us to overcome biology is psychology, okay? It bombards us with adverts and marketing and mentors that says that drinking alcohol, even though it's a powerful poison that kills 3.3 million people a year, is normal. And not just normal, it's fucking brilliant. It's the best thing since sliced bread. It will turn you into a sexual tyrannosaurus. It will make you the most unpopular person out there in the street. And it will get rid of all these negative, dreadful thoughts and feelings. And it will block off all these kind of like problems you have in the world. You no longer have to deal with them because you just drink this elixir of life and it cures everything for you. We fucking love it, right? So in order for us to drink alcohol, we have this cognitive dissonance built up that tells us that alcohol is fucking brilliant, all right? So if you come along and say, well, actually, alcoholism is an invisible, violent, dominant belief system. Don't you know it kills 3.3 million people a year? And you're a bit of a jackass for drinking a poison, and I'm not, because I'm cool. Ha ha. Then to them, it's like you're holding a mirror up to their face, which says, it's got their picture on it, right, their reflection, and above it, it's got written in red lipstick, you are a fucking retard, right? Because they are drinking it, and you're now slowly kind of like peeling away this cognitive dissonance, and they can see it. They can see that they're a fucking idiot because they're drinking alcohol, and they don't want to be an idiot. So they're kind of like, how can I get rid of this dissonance? How can I stop thinking like this? How can I stop these questions going around in my head? What am I going to do? And the answer is, tell Lee and his bunch of strivers to fuck off. Let's put them on an island somewhere. Let's take him to Jeju, dump him off, and hope that Kim Jong-un fucking drops a nuclear bomb on them anytime soon. I hope not, because I'm going to Jeju in July. But it was the first island that I could think of. Yeah, please, Kim, if you're listening to this, and maybe you have got an alcohol problem because you have got a few screws loose, please don't bomb Jeju while I'm there in July. Anyway, so you need to come to the stark reality that when you become someone who doesn't drink alcohol, you will decrease your status within the community very, very rapidly. One of the reasons that people find it so difficult to become people who don't drink alcohol is they actually keep thinking that they're going to increase their status, okay? you need to take the voice of resistance. You need to be the voice of resistance, all right? Only then, when you be the voice of resistance and see it and just say to yourself, wow, when I stop drinking alcohol, people are not going to like me. My status within the community is going to decrease. When you can see that, when you can accept it, when you can own it, when you can be comfortable with it, the resistance will no longer have that effect on you when it comes to status. And once the resistance grip on status kind of disappears and let go, now you can look at the world or your life like a blank canvas, okay? And now you can start building it again. And part of building it again means you're going to start to create a new status hierarchy. And then you can start to change things more longer term. But please know this, in the short term, your status is going to plummet. It will decrease, okay? If you want to learn more about some of these things I'm talking about in terms of resistance, join me 6 p.m. British summertime, Saturday, 30th of June, where I'll be rolling out my exclusive webinar on resistance, on what it is, how to beat it, all that kind of jazz, at 6 o'clock. British summertime, 90 minutes long. You can't pause it, so make sure you carve out enough time. Sign up at www.thetruthaboutalcohol.co.uk today. And once you sign up and opt in, you get a series of emails reminding you about that. Okay, so I'm going to bugger off now and, I don't know, get in some status debate or argument with somebody somewhere. In the meantime, take care of yourself. I'm Lee Davey. I'm not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I'm someone who doesn't drink alcohol, and I spend every waking moment helping other people do the same. Ciao, ciao.